Number 1.
John Allen Hale, age 28, disappeared from Columbus, Ohio on November 26, 1978. John was last seen on Morse Road in Columbus. He was driving a maroon Chevrolet Monza Fastback. It is not known if he was alone or whether the car was ever found. News articles within the months following his disappearance mention rumors of the car having been dismantled and shredded, but there was no evidence that this actually occurred. John owned 2 convenience liquor stores called Beer Wine Stop, with a man named James W. Woody Thomason, who was believed to have had ties to organized crime. Initially, John had purchased the stores with his brother, Jeffrey, but he and Thomason bought out Jeffrey's share, leaving John with 2/3 ownership and Thomason with 1/3. There were reportedly many disputes as Thomason, who was supposed to be a silent partner, began stepping in and taking over parts of the operation against John's wishes. Although I haven't been able to find anything specific about the last confirmed sighting of John, one of the stores was at 2995 Morse Road, which is the same street he was last seen on, and his wife told the Columbus Dispatch that she believed he was on his way to open the store when he vanished. Following John's disappearance, Thomason changed the locks on both stores and put the business accounts in his own name, leaving John's wife with no income. Thomason has a lengthy criminal history, and he has been linked to another man from whose demise he also profited. In November 1974, Frederick Hale, a sheriff's deputy with no relation to John, was assassinated in a still unsolved case. Frederick Hale was wealthy and had once been married to Thomason's ex-wife, Diana. Though Frederick Hale and Diana had divorced in 1958 and Frederick had remarried, his estate, valued at about $610,000, was willed to Diana and her son, Jim. Jim was the son of Thomason, and in his capacity as an attorney, he had been the one to draw up the will, leaving everything to himself and his mother. John Hale's wife discovered a small piece of paper in John's desk, with the name Frederick Hale written on it just after John's disappearance. There had also been a woman who owned a prostitution house, who had allowed Thomason to help in running the business. When she died, he inherited her estate, which included money and several acres of property. I'm honestly not sure, from the way it's been worded, whether John was actually driving when he was last seen. I think he could have last been seen in the store, with the reference to the car he was driving meaning that was the car he had with him. As of his brother Jeffrey's 2009 obituary, their mother, along with a brother and sister, are still living. John may have been having marital problems at the time of his disappearance. Public records show a petition for divorce in February 1976, in which the couple is shown as having no children. The petition was later dropped. A second divorce appears after his disappearance, and it specifies that there were children, at least one, anyway, involved. This would suggest that he had a very young child when he vanished. There's no indication that his marriage had anything to do with his disappearance. John was originally from West Virginia, and his empty grave is located in that state. John's wife stated that John was an ambitious person who did well at everything he attempted. He had goals which included becoming a millionaire, and he idolized Howard Hughes. John had no criminal record, with the exception of a couple minor traffic violations. It's not known exactly what happened to John, but foul play is strongly suspected.
Number 2.
Mildred Louise Roche, age 38, vanished from Mankato, Minnesota on May 31, 1976. Mildred and her husband, Ronald, had been visiting her parents' farm in Mankato, Minnesota just prior to her disappearance. The couple left, presumably to head back to their own home in Fargo, North Dakota. Mildred was never heard from again. On June 16, Mildred's parents received a letter from Ronald Roche. It stated that Mildred had left home on June 2 after he told her he wanted a divorce. He said that she had taken 2 suitcases as well as cash and over $3,000 in traveler's checks. He claimed that he received series of calls from her, the last being 3 months after her disappearance, at which time she said she was in Boston, Massachusetts. According to Ronald, Mildred had told him that she was staying with a group of people in Boston, Massachusetts, and was doing fine. Police did not find this information credible, as they could find nothing to suggest Mildred was alive after her disappearance. Particularly concerning to her parents was the fact that she required medication for her epilepsy, and her doctor said nobody had contacted him to authorize her prescription. Ronald Roche downplayed her need for medication, saying she was only taking a small dose, and that she was gradually decreasing her dosage. He also said that he wasn't really worried because Mildred had been wanting to leave for a long time, and had left for short periods before. In 1996, police dug in the yard of the Roche's Fargo property, but did not locate anything useful. Although this probably doesn't make a whole lot of difference in finding Mildred, her mother's obituary states that their farm was in Eagle Lake, Minnesota in 1976. They did not move to Mankato until 1981. The two aren't far apart. Eagle Lake is described as a suburb of Mankato. Ronald Roche passed away in September 2018.
Number 3.
Diane Webb was last seen in Phoenix, Arizona on May 6, 1959. Diane was seen by her family on the day of her marriage to Benny Milton Webb. Prior to her ultimate disappearance, Diane had vanished before. While her parents were in the process of moving, Diane's parents had allowed her to stay with Benny, then her boyfriend, and to visit his parents in New Mexico. Several months passed with her family not hearing from her. She was eventually found safe and returned to her parents. But she wasn't there for long. About a week later, she went to Phoenix to stay with Benny again, following an announcement that she was pregnant and was going to marry Benny. Diane's father was very upset and did not attend the wedding, but Diane's mother and a sibling did travel to Indio, California to attend the small ceremony. Diane would frequently write letters at first, but then the letters stopped. The final letter was sent on August 22, 1959, her younger sister's birthday. The envelope contained a card and a couple handkerchiefs, which her sister still has. About a year later, Diane's parents received a letter from Benny, addressed to Diane. This set off red flags. Diane's mother opened the letter, and it appeared that Benny thought Diane was with them. Her mother wrote back asking what happened to Diane. He indicated that he had put her on a bus because she wanted to stay with her family for a while. He seemed surprised to learn that Diane wasn't there. He claimed in a letter that he had received a letter from Diane since she'd gotten on the bus. The letter apparently stated that she had lost the baby. Benny suggested that her parents contact a friend of Diane's in California, that this friend may know her whereabouts. After a time, Diane's father traveled to Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, where Benny was then living. Benny's uncle was a sheriff in the town at the time, and he ran Diane's father off and threatened him not to come back. In more recent years, thanks to the persistence of Diane's younger sister, Terry, and the help of internet sleuths, the long cold case was being looked into again. Benny had been located in Utah, and detectives went there to talk to him. He claimed that he remembered Diane but didn't remember marrying her. Then he stopped cooperating and refused to take a polygraph. In August 1961, 2 years after she sent her last letter, someone using Diane's name, which isn't all that uncommon of a name, so could be someone else entirely, visited a dentist in California. There have been no other leads as to her whereabouts. Both of Diane's parents are now deceased. Her siblings continue to seek answers.
Number 4.
Barbara Annette McClure, age 24, went missing from Seattle, Washington on November 2, 1978. Barbara had spent the evening with her boyfriend, her roommate and another couple at the Fandango Disco, inside the Sirloin Inn. Barbara left on foot following an argument with her boyfriend. It would have been about a 5-mile walk from Lake Forest Park Shopping Center, where Sirloin Inn was located, to her home on Northwest 89th Street. The couple stated that they saw her walking on Bothell Street, near Northeast 165th Street, about half a mile from the disco. They drove past her and stopped to offer a ride, but she declined. It's not known whether her boyfriend was in the vehicle as well. Barbara's roommate realized she was missing the next morning when she woke up, and Barbara had not made it home. 6 days later, Barbara's driver's license was found by surveyors during construction of the interchange of Highways 5 and 405, about 10 miles from where she was last seen. Barbara had a daughter who was about to turn 2 when she vanished, and her loved ones do not believe she would have abandoned her child. Although Barbara's daughter doesn't remember her, she has said that her earliest memories are of asking people when she can see her mom. She believes Barbara was abducted by someone she knew, but it's not clear whether she has someone specific in mind. Barbara did not have any credit cards and had less than $1 in her purse. Police stated that they believed she was abducted near Sheridan Beach. Someone has to know something, and I hope they will come forward soon.
Number 5.
Julianne Cecelia Jaillet, age 36, went missing from Bellevue, Washington on June 1, 1985. Julianne's husband of only 6 months, Ian Jaillet, claims that she left home due to an argument about her alcoholism. Julianne's mother reported her missing on June 18, since Ian had not done so. Ian stated that Julianne took a suitcase and other personal items when she left. According to Julianne's daughter, who was only 11 at the time and lived with her grandparents, Ian went out of town in the days following his wife's disappearance. Julianne's purse, containing some of her belongings, including her wallet, was found in a 26th floor lobby at the MGM Grand, now Grand Sierra, Hotel in Reno, Nevada. It was mailed to the home where Julianne's daughter was staying, by a hotel employee who assumed she had forgotten it. There was no record of Julianne checking in or out of the hotel, and surveillance cameras did not capture any footage of her. I'm confused as to how the cameras failed to show who placed the purse in the lobby. It's possible they only had cameras on the ground floor where the casino was located. Ian and Julianne had lived in the community of Lake Hills in Bellevue, Washington in 1985. Julianne's sister had spoken with her about a week before she vanished, and she was in good spirits. Julianne was in the process of buying furniture and decor for their home, which they had just rented. Ian also owns several acres of land in nearby Fall City, which he has since sold. Julianne's daughter does not believe she left of her own volition and suspects that Ian knows more than what he has said. Although her daughter was not living with Julianne at the time, she saw her regularly and remembers having pizza with her not long before she vanished. Since Julianne's disappearance, Ian has married 4 additional times and has moved more than 10 times. Julianne's daughter confronted Ian in recent years, telling him that her mother is gone because of him. He responded with "I know," though there is the possibility that he was referring to the argument which he says caused her to leave.